Hello, welcome, Marlene here. I have no control over spring outside, but I can decide it's spring on my cookies. So today we're making a little basket filled with spring flowers, perfect for Mother's Day or Easter. We'll be looking at stenciled basket weave and all sorts of flowers. And now on to the step-by-step tutorial. It's tough to see, but I have here a basket weave stencil that I made, which is on Patreon if you want to download and cut your own. And what I'm doing here is, there's my basket. I've got an edible marker and I'm marking here. You see there's like a bit of a bump and a bump, about mid that across. That's where my basket's going to end. Here, let's center this there. And in the middle of each, you see, I'm just putting a little dot, and this will help me to know where to put my vertical lines. There. So right at the, so I can kind of know, I'm going to outline in a lighter taupe. This is like kitchen sink icing here. It's all my leftovers from a few cookie projects that I mixed together. And now this is a darker color and I'm just doing vertical lines straight. This will be behind the stencil when we come in and we put the icing. You can just give it a shake so that it kind of sinks in. You see? Now it's like sunken in a little bit on that surface. My favorite stencil to date, look at how cute, super easy. So let's just take a look. Now I've got the stripes, the vertical stripes, and what I'm doing here is I'm placing the stencil so that they go over those stripes to give it like the look of piped basket weave. And I'm adding the darker of the two icings on top there. And I'm passing over with my scraper and just applying this icing there. It's not completely level because of the vertical stripes, but it's fine to stencil over there. And now I've got residue on the sides, so you can just kind of scrape it off like that to clean it, the edge. And that's it. Now we'll be able to do the handle and the edge there on the basket once this has had time to dry. The color of my basket is pretty close to the actual cookie. And so I'm just adding here this kind of like some runny green to get a background for my flowers and create a bit of a contrast. I'm in love with the stencil here. Okay, so now all I'm doing is a circular motion with the same icing. It's thickish. You see, as I do my circular motion here, the lines are keeping. And I'm just going around and around along the edge. Here where the bow is, I'm kind of just continuing. I'm not making like a movement towards the bow. I'm just following the handle's direction. And you just keep on the edge of the cookie there. And I'm going to stick the bow in this wet icing so that it squishes in like that. And now I'm doing a cross here, hiding the seam between the green and the basket. And And now for the first kind of flower is a wafer paper flower. So they sell these sheets. I airbrushed it, and then with a punch, I just punched a bunch of flowers. This is very easy. The cost of the punch is probably the most expensive, but you can get them 50% off at Michael's. And the thing that's great about these is you can make many quickly, and they lay very flat on the cookie. Sometimes you can't have a lot of fat decoration. You need something that lays more kind of on the surface of the cookie, and these are great for that. The next kind of decoration that is great are fondant decorations. The hardest part is finding molds that are cookie size so that you can add your little fondant decorations to the cookies. You can make a variety of flowers in white fondant and then airbrush them after. Neutral, like you have them ready in white, so then you can just quickly and easily airbrush them, and then you'll have your flowers for your order. You don't have to start cranking them out. You can do these things on quiet nights. You don't start all this when you have a big order. It's just very stressful. Christmas is always coming, spring is always coming. We know the things we're going to need, so you can make them in advance and just put them away, and you'll be happy to be able to just kind of dig them out for these holidays. Another flower option is with a star tip. You just do a circular motion on the cookie, and you can do that right on the surface, or you can make these in advance on parchment paper. You need a stiff icing for this so that the swirls, the lines stick, or else it'll just fade away. So you start in the middle, and then you just go around, and you have a little kind of, it looks like the top of a cupcake. The basket's pretty full now, so will be the last one. A drop flower. This is Wilton 129, and there's like a center part here. I'll add a little picture on the side so you can get a visual. And so you're squeezing. Here, I'm gonna work on this parchment paper first. So here, let's look. You're squeezing, the icing comes out, you rotate, and then you pull away. The parchment paper's coming up. So you rotate, that nail allows you to kind of be elevated, and then you squeeze, rotate, and then you see you're left with a little flower. So I'm going to do that on the cookie. It's tricky on the cookie. You're better to make them in advance. Now I just went through that royal icing that I had under. So it's not ideal to make them directly on the cookie because you're stuck with the ugly ones. Whereas if you made those on the parchment paper, well, you could just throw the ugly ones in the garbage. Now for the final touch, leaves. I think they're a must. I put the icing back in my container, added a bit of powdered sugar to thicken it up so that they would hold, and I added a bit of food color to darken it. It's important when you add your leaves to rotate the cookie so the leaves aren't all in the same direction. That looks a little bit weird. So just turn it so that they're kind of all different directions, and don't worry about a leaf hiding a flower. That also adds to the kind of realism. Flowers are all over a bouquet. Okay. And tuck them in corners and fill it in as much as you want. I find that the leaves really add to a bouquet. And there we have our little Easter basket. If you wanted, you could have a little message here, but I really You know what? You could add some little Easter eggs right here, some grass. Kind of like it just like this though. Not sure about the actual basket color, but I really love the stencil. And here are the completed cookies once again. What do you think about those vertical lines? Do you think that they add anything to that basket section? Those flowers are so easy to make, and you can make them in advance, making the decorating process the day of much less stressful. Here's a little preview of an upcoming cookie project. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future uploads, and I'll see you next time.